The presentation is mostly like once people get their business kind of set up. So it's like we need your credit at a certain level, we need your business set up, and that's kind of all stuff we do inside of our program. But then when it's time to actually get some funding, this is where you want to be. All right, hello and welcome. I'm here with Gino. Credit Leverage X is in the house. We're going live. I'm seeing the notifications happen. If you're watching this anywhere out there on the social medias, please drop a comment, drop a like, subscribe. We're going to be putting you on some free game today. Like this is life-changing stuff. So I'm pretty excited here. I'm just going to give it one more second to welcome people in. But happy Wednesday. It is April 19th. You know, tomorrow is 420, also Hitler's birthday. So all the people are stoners and people who don't like Hitler but have a good day tomorrow. Shenanigans. All right, let's get started, man. I'm going to launch by showing you guys presentation to get your initial 50 to 100K. Can you see the presentation, Gino? Does it look good? Because I can only see the screen at the moment.
Let's see. I do not see the presentation yet.
Oh, you don't? Okay, let me see. I think I need to click one more button. This is StreamYard. So now we'll begin.
Yeah, that works.
All right, now we'll be able to get into it.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, this is the real deal. This is how to get your first $50,000 to $100,000 for your business and basically start to scale. And we got to take advantage of this now, guys. So if you are watching this, you need to join Credit Leverage X. I'm sure there's a link somewhere in our bios that you can check it out and book a call with us. This is how to get your first initial funding, though, from 50 to 100K. So what Gino likes to remind me often is like, just because you have good credit doesn't mean you're going to get approved. You also have to, manipulate it a little bit so that you know what you're doing. But this is really what the banks want to see, right? They want to see 100% payment history, which means if you've been late at all, you need to get with us about our credit repair, and we'll get those removed off your credit report. So you have 100%. You need a 6% credit card utilization. I've heard 7%, but I don't think it really matters. 6 is good. You need 0 derogatory remarks. You need an aged credit history of 5 years, 9 months, which means if you have anything less than this, you need to buy some trade lines. And the trade lines are the real secret to making sure that your credit history is long enough. You should have 17 accounts, which is quite a bit. You still think that's accurate? You really need 17 like good credits. Is that, you don't think that's what they want to see?
Nah, I would say at least 10 accounts.
Yeah, 17 seems pretty high, but at least 10, and then less than 2 hard inquiries. So that's like, this is what the banks really want to see. And, if in order for people to really like get the funding they need, I think people are going to have people like us in their corner because they need their credits to look immaculate. And the only way you're going to do that is if you know how to play the game to make it look good to the credit unit, have everything removed, or you're going to be waiting for years to get this kind of stuff set up. So if you want to save time, if you want to get funding, definitely hit us up for some credit repair or the whole funding process and join Credit Leverage X. All right, on to the next thing. Step 1 is to build your credit report, like we were just kind of talking about. The goal is to have like 8 to 10 positive accounts on your credit report once all negative items have been removed, right? So the first thing we do when you come into our program is we remove everything off your credit, basically. And it not everything, but all the bad stuff, right? All the closed accounts, all the past dues, the collections, we remove it all. And then we build positive accounts. So we'll get you, 8 to 10, as it says here. And that takes a little bit of time, but we know the correct ones. And if you have really bad credit, we're going to have to start you off with like some secured credit cards and some other really ninja trade lines that we can get you. And then also doing the rent reporters and Rent Karma. I'm actually not a big fan of these too much. They're pretty cool, but they don't report to all 3 bureaus. So they're good for a couple of bureaus, like I think Experian, and that's about it basically. But they're pretty decent. If you're already paying rent, literally, if you're paying rent, like you need to join Credit Leverage X. That's what Gino's told me multiple times. It's like any renters out there, like if you want to buy your first house, like join us. We'll help you fix your credit so that you can start to buy real estate and stop renting. All right, step 2, we got to supercharge your credit, basically. Supercharge your credit line with trade lines. Once you get your credit report clean, again, the first step is always clean your credit. Get all the negative derogatory things off of your credit, all the inquiries removed. Now it's time to supercharge. You can actually buy trade lines through us. All you got to do is send one of us a message and we'll be able to help you out. But a trade line is basically somebody vouching for you, somebody saying, you know, this guy's credit, this guy's good, and we're going to put my credit with him. We're going to co-sign. You want to talk a little bit more about trade lines at all, Gino?
Yeah, I can touch on that. So yeah, you want someone that's already that's already has a business or has some kind of good reporting accounts that there can personal accounts. I would say primarily personal trade lines are very powerful and they can affect your personal credit in a very positive way, which is what you want because most business cards don't report on your personal. So if a personal is already has a business making money, then their personal credit is good. So that means you would like them to give you an opportunity to use those accounts to report on your personal credit, which will boost your credit up to 100, if not more points. But you would need to be able to know someone or a family or friend that's already in that position. Otherwise, you can purchase these, trade lines through us. We're actually a trade line distributor. So we have, people as well as our own, accounts that we can get you good prices and discounts on these trade lines.
Yeah, and the key thing is with trade lines is you want a really high, what is it called on the credit card? Like a high limit, basically, like a
Yep.
$30,000 or something like
Yeah,
that.
high credit limit. You have to have at least more than 5 years
Yeah,
of reporting good payment history. You have to have a trade line that has a good mix. It's not just like a typical Chase or a Bank of America, maybe a credit union. Those are good as well. You want to have a good mix, and you also want to have good payment history, right? The
yeah,
main thing is the payment history, and besides the age. So the age and the payment history and the credit utilization, as well
that's
as
what it
the
was.
credit limit, all of those factors, they all affect your credit score. And if it's a good trade line, a good account, all those good features that you would get transfer to your personal credit and you'll get that boost. And as a result of that, we can get you even more funding.
Exactly. So it's just really important to get like good quality trade lines is what we're trying to get at. And like
Three
the
to
good
five
quality
trade lines,
ones is going to change your credit history though. It's going to change your
yeah.
credit so it's going to be awesome. All right,
Minimum three to
next.
five trade lines.
Yep. And the step 3 is to build relationships with multiple banks and credit unions. Okay. So this is some money here. So if you guys are watching, might want to screen share or whatever. But Navy Federal, amazing. Alliant, Chase, Amex, local credit unions. I'm not sure which one DCU is. Truist, PNC, and Key Bank. But these are also like there's different footprints. Like there's different banks in different areas. So if some of these banks aren't in your area, go for the banks that are in your area. But you want to build relationships. You want to open a personal account and probably a business account with all of these banks. And I mean, the dream would be like open a banks with a few of these and have at least $10,000 in that account, kind of like doing a couple transactions here or there, because that's what the banks really want to see. And like especially Navy Federal, right? It's like if you build a relationship with them and you keep some money in that account, like that's all they really care about. And then at like 6 months, they'll basically give you like a $20,000 or $50,000 credit limit, I heard.
Yeah, they even have the pledge loan. You can even get a pledge loan with them. There's a lot of things you can do with Navy Federal. You just have to. I mean, you don't even need thousands of dollars. Personally, I put like $500 in there, and then I got a credit card because I have good personal credit. So it's
Cool.
just a
Yeah.
matter of like, if your credit is not good, you got to show money, right? So like, if you come to me, you come to the table and you say, "Hey, Mr. Navy Federal, give me a credit card, give me a loan." Well, they're gonna say, "Well, show us what you got." Well,
Yeah.
let's check out your credit. If your credit isn't where it's supposed to be, then you're gonna have to come out and say, well, I got some money, and then put some money in your account, and maybe
Right.
then you can trust me.
Yeah, building a relationship is key though.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff, like we're gonna call banks all the time and just see what they're looking for to give loans, see what they're looking for to work with you. And usually their job at banks is to be super friendly because they want your money. They want more deposits,
Yeah.
So there's certain banks that are like actually like lately right now, the whole banking system is getting interesting because some banks are on the up because they're proving more deposits into their accounts, whereas some banks are falling apart and they're losing, investors because people don't want to work with them anymore. So it's kind of interesting time in the banking world.
That's corporation right there.
Yeah, exactly. Time to basically do some credit stacking, and credit stacking is not necessarily the right word. This is really just kind of like where we start with business credit cards and so on and so forth. And we're going to go through these 3 bureaus. And actually what I've been recently learning is that we do Equifax last, right? So you do TransUnion, Experian, and then Equifax, because a lot of the times when you apply for an Equifax cards, they'll report to all three bureaus. So you don't want to do that, but you're going to start to apply for these banks. Once you have your credit right, you got your trade lines, you've built some relationships. Now it's time to do the funding and start with business credit, start with personal credit, and really blow this up and just kind of like work with us because we know the systems, we know which banks to go to. And the main thing is you just don't want a bunch of inquiries on your account. What you want is to get approved when you apply. Because if you start at the really big banks, you get approved, and then you really start to like go down the ladder and keep getting approved for all of the TransUnion credit cards and all the TransUnion loans, you're going to walk away with like at least, 50 to 100,000 per bureau of cards. And you're going to have a period of time before it all reports on your credit. And you basically want to get as much money as you can from the funding, from the work, from that credit union, or not credit, from that, line of bureaus before they report. And then you're basically going to max out, and that's how you get maximum funding. You want to hit on that, Gino?
Yeah, stacking credit cards. That's one, and that's the first initial. Like I call that the quick money, quick funding mechanism. So you want to get quick access to quick funding. You get some credit cards, and the personal credit cards. Once we get the personal primary account set up, then we go and essentially get the business cards. Your goal is to stack as many business credit cards initially, and when you start doing funding, and then that's when you hit every bureau. And yeah, Robert is right. Equifax has always been a pain, and then you want to make sure that you hit Equifax last as you do your funding. And that process of funding and going through the correct methods of removing inquiries and being able to come to the bank and get a card digitally, it's a process. So you have to understand how to do that. Now, if you go off and you do it yourself, you might screw it up, and then you might have to do it all over again.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of clients who screw it up and then they come and work with us, and we have to refix everything and then we redo it. So just kind of know what you're doing before you apply. Do your research or reach out to us and we'll help you. All right. Then we're going to talk about double dipping, which is basically step 5. So credit double dipping is a strategy of applying for multiple cards and lines of credit with a bank or credit union with just one inquiry. So like Truist is an example. I'm pretty sure you can do this with like American Express and a couple other banks too. But if you get approved for a credit card or a loan, then you apply for all the other opportunities that bank has at the same time. And you're going to be double dipping basically with the same bank. So you're going to get a credit card and a personal loan and a business loan and another credit card with one inquiry on your credit report. Yeah, really ninja stuff.
Another one as well.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Bank of America. Isn't that cool? So this is kind of some other ninja stuff, application details. So I learned this the hard way. If you're going to apply for an Amex, say that you're making at least $147,000 annually. And I'm not, we're not finance gurus or experts, consult your CPA before you talk to anything or you apply for credit cards. But this is just kind of what I've been seeing. They want to see that you're employed too. They want to see that you have a W-2. Do you know any cool stuff about how to get out of that? How to say you're not employed, Gino? Or is it pretty much like you just want to tell them like, hey, you're employed or pay yourself from your business?
You'll just basically, your overall, this is household income, by the way. So
right,
so that means anybody in your house, combined household income, that's what you say. So the one, you might not be at 147, but you might be close to it with the family around you. So that's what they want to see, because they want to be able to give you a loan to people that are qualified. And as far as employment, you can be employed either through your own business, or you can always, the ones that they like to see is employed by a certain company or entity, right? So that's what they like to see. So if you do have a business, say that you're employed by your business. I've seen it where people have been self-employed, and as long as they're employed by their business, they're fine. But as far as, if you don't have a job, I would still say that you're employed and you're working, and basically report your previous job that you worked at, and go from there.
Yeah. So if you come work with us, like we'll help you set it up, especially if you're self-employed. We'll say that you're employed with your job and we'll make sure that on your credit report, it says the same thing. And then the sweet spot is though, above 147, this might've even gone up lately, but you want to say that you make less than 300,000. Otherwise the banks are actually going to probably ask you for proof of income,
Yeah.
which is not what you want. What should you have prior to applying? All right. So you want to have a low risk business name. This is big. And like a risky business is like a credit repair business like we have, or a gambling business, or a crypto business, or real estate and trucking. They don't like either. So you want to make sure like the name of your business is low risk. It's kind of a generic name, something safe, because when these bankers, they do an underwriting, right? So it's either a computer just looks at your information and you pass, or the bank actually like does an underwriting where they review your file and they see like, is this person creditable? And if they see right away that your name is like crypto gangsters or something like that, they're going to deny you, right? And so you want to make sure that you have a low risk business name. You want to have a business address, and you don't want your business address to be a PO box or your home address, because what kind of big company is basically working out of their garage or whatever. So this is something you want. A 1-800 number. You want a business email. You want a website, and social media is not enough. So you want a website, but I also recommend having social media and things as well. You want to touch on any of these?
Yeah, so that's so basically you're looking at the North American Industry Classification System. That's the NAICS. That's determines where you are, which business entity you represent. So they don't want to see high risk entities that potentially are going to default, like a real estate or credit repair funding businesses. These are not like they're not backed up businesses. Even though real estate has an entity, there's still a loan against it. They're not going to be able to be the primary ones on that. But if you do something like consulting, or you're doing marketing, or you're doing other conventional businesses that require relationships, and those relationships are based on people putting in money together, or working together and starting a business, those entities are more likely to get funded. And as well as the name. The name is very important, because if you use the word credit or real estate, like our company, Leverage, that is not going to get funded. You want to get a company name that's kind of ambiguous to the name, like a Solutions, Enterprises, Holdings. These are the names that you want to use, and they're a little more ambiguous, because they're not exactly sure. So you can describe what you do, and you can tell them, you do this and this and this. That way they refer to your description rather than what the name is.
Exactly. All right. Next, what else should you have prior to applying? You got to have your LLC, your EIN, and a Dun and Bradstreet number. You got to have open checking and savings account with multiple banks to build up that relationship. So this is just like the basics, right? But you don't like the Dun and Bradstreet is actually your business credit credit, and you really want to build that up. But if you don't have that right in the beginning, recommend getting it and then building it up over time. But this is all pretty standard stuff if you're trying to get business credit or business loans. Next thing, this is again like your profile requirements. You need to have business bank accounts. You got to have a 680 to 720 FICO score, maybe even higher now. Not Credit Karma. Credit Karma is just kind of like they're just making up numbers. They're not really showing you the real hard facts about your credit, but it is free, so you can get an idea. But just assume it's way above what it actually is. At least 2 prior credit cards with a 2,500 limit, which is really big. Like the bigger the credit cards that you can get approved, the more likely the bank is going to be like, okay, he's responsible. But if you have anything less than 2,500, the banks aren't really going to care. It's like they're just like tiny cards. They don't give a dang. All right. 3 to 5 credit cards, not trade lines. So you need primary accounts. All right. You need low utilization. We have a lot of people that come to us and they already have, $50,000 credit cards that are maxed out. And we have to, we have some ways that we can work around that, but you want to show that you have less utilization. That's big. No derogatory remarks, no collections, no late payments, less than 3 inquiries on each bureau. Okay. So all this stuff, you really got to work with some experts like us if you really want to hit these numbers to get this funding.
It's very critical.
Yeah. Where to get your first 30K. And this is just like, this is easy money though. Once you have all this stuff, this is real easy money. Amex, KeyBank, US Bank, Navy Federal Credit Union. Yep. So putting you on game, take a screenshot if you're watching this. And that's some fire right there. And if you have bad credit, it's like, let's say you get approved, disqualified for these guys, then you're going to go to this level. You go to Divvy, Uline, Nav, this guy, Capital One, of course, will basically give you anything. So, but this is what you do. And like, we really try and get you the really good banks, because there's actually tiers to the banks and the credits. So you want to get tier 1 first, but then if you don't get approved, we still have backup, and we actually have even more than this. This is just like a small sample, basically. Application details for business, use household income. That's what it's supposed to say, where it asks for personal income. Use projected business revenue, where it asks for business revenue. So you want to say you've projected. And again, anything over 300K, they're going to ask for proof of income. Monthly spend, you want to say that you spend about 10 to 20K a month. That's why they're going to give you a credit card for 10 to 20K. So that you can cover your monthly spend, and it's just, business as usual. But that's what the banks want to see. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, pretty powerful stuff, though. We just spit some game. So if you guys really want to get some funding and you want to start working with us, feel free to reach out, creditleveragex.com. Any other last thoughts? That was pretty powerful stuff there.
No, I think you hit most of everything. It seems seamless, right, when you go over it, but then you're like, oh, there's a lot of things that you have to put in place to prepare that. That's why, working with someone that's already been doing it and getting a credit, where it needs to be is very critical. So those primary accounts, getting authorized users if necessary, those are going to make a difference, and you have to be able to get that all structured before you go into funding, because the moment you go into funding, it's almost like you can't go back type of thing. You already win it, so you got more work to do now to kind of get back. So it's better just go ahead and do it the right way, and stop wasting your time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, that's what I got today. Hope you guys have a good Wednesday out there. Be sure to book a call down below. There'll be a link. Join our Facebook group. We're going to try and go live every Wednesday. 11 or 12 Pacific time. So keep an eye out, keep us engaged, and go forth and collect some cash. I'll talk to you in the next one.